Yo YouTube! This is a video for Thursday the 23rd of November. I'm going to try and do the video again without a microphone and just speak a little bit louder. Hopefully the road noise isn't a distraction. I've done this video the following morning again. I was quite tired last night, and also, to be fair, I think having a video with some daylight is a bit more interesting than just seeing darkness and a few lights whizzing by on a motorway. So I can do this now during the day on a bit more of an interesting journey, hopefully. So, yesterday morning I had tramped out from Wednesday night in a residential street in Newcastle-under-Lyme. I didn't sleep very well. Well, I did sleep very well for about 4 hours. And I woke up at about 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I can't remember, because I had tried out a double 40-inch thick Lurp mattress for the first time, which was great when I first got into bed, and I had my duvet over my double duvet over my sleeping bag. It was really comfortable, but then for whatever reason it wasn't the valve that I used to pump it up with that was perfectly secure. There was a leak, and so I couldn't hear anything, but it just deflated. So I woke up sort of with a bit of a backache about between 4 and 5 o'clock, and I blew it up and tried to get a bit more sleep, but I didn't really. I just dozed for the rest of the morning, and it even then started to go down a bit within that next hour and a half. So I ended up getting out of bed about 6, getting everything put away and looking for jobs, and I was hopeful to get something. Again, I don't know the area very well. I was sort of quite close to Stoke, looking at jobs, and there was quite a few jobs that came out in the morning, probably up to about between 5 and 10 jobs from about between 6 and 7 o'clock. No, sorry, between 6:30 and 7:30 o'clock. So compared to my home area, really quite busy. And I put a few bids on, and there was a few kind of Manchester, Birmingham way, and I put my bids on, and then I got a job which was going from Stoke, which was about 8 miles from where I was, the pickup, and it was going to Rotherham, which I thought was a good job to pick up. It was a small van job, about 77 miles. I put £75 on, and I did ring the number, but it went straight to answer phone. So, and there's another job from the same company going from the same pickup going to Birmingham, which I put a bid on, which was like £65 or £60. And I got a call offering me the Birmingham job, and I said, "Oh, is the Rotherham one still available?" And he said it was. So I said, "I'd rather do that one, please, because it's longer, more money." And so I got that job. Made my way immediately to the pickup, and I arrived at 8:05. So it would have been around about 8:45 when I picked up the job. And when I arrived, it was just 2 envelopes that I was given, but one envelope was addressed to an address in Rotherham, and another address was Keighley, and I didn't know how far apart those two places were. So I just said to the guy giving it to me, "I've only been told to go to Rotherham, but let me call my boss and I'll find out what to do." So he held on. I called the shipper. I explained to him that I've been given an envelope to go to Keighley, and would he want me to do that as well? said, yeah, but because he's on the road, he'll get back to me about putting it on the system later on. So I said to the guy I was with, yeah, I'll take the both of them. I got him to sign a pod that I created because there's no paperwork to go with it. And then I made my way towards Rotherham. When I had a look, before I left the site, I had a quick look at how far apart they were, and Keighley was an hour and a half sort of north-west of Rotherham. And I thought, which should I go to first? And I looked at going to Keighley first and then Rotherham. The Keighley trip was going via Manchester, which I thought was going to be probably bad for traffic. And I thought if I ended up in Keighley, that was sort of nearish Leeds, I thought that'd be a good place to end up. So I went to Rotherham first, and then headed towards Keighley. And as I was driving, I was thinking about what would I charge, and the difference in mileage was around about 50 miles extra to get from Rotherham to Keighley. And I thought, well, £50 to me sounds like a fair price. You know, I usually add £10 on for every stop, so it'll be a tenner plus whatever the mileage will be. You know, and I thought it's about an hour, so £50 would be what I'd ask for. I didn't know if I'd get it or not, but I just waited to see what happened. And about 15 minutes into my journey, the shipper called me back, and he updated the CX, and he said, "What would you like for the extra?" And I said, "Well, I think £50 would sound a bit fair, extra. Let's make it 125 in total." And he was fine with that, and that's what I got for the job. So I now had quite an easy job to get to Rotherham with an envelope, and then to Keighley with another envelope. So easy start to my day, and a nice sort of amount of money, almost half of what I need to earn in a day in one job. So I arrived at Keighley. No, I didn't. So on the way from Rotherham to Keighley, I thought I would look at what jobs were available. I was about 45 minutes away from Keighley. I was looking at the alert, just looked at the map, and I had a look at where I was on the map, and I knew I was heading sort of west from Rotherham, northwest. And I had a look at roughly where the nearest job was. There was one job heading sort of in my general direction. So I clicked on it, and it happened to be from Keighley. And it was going from Keighley to Leeds, 20 miles loaded. It was for a long wheelbase, so I stuck my minimum price for a long wheelbase job, which was £60, £60. And then I waited, and quite quickly I got a call back, and it was the shipper saying that he would like to give me a job, but what time could I get there? Now the job was advertised as being a 2:30 pickup, and I was due to get to Keighley about 12:25. So I told the shipper that I was getting there about 12:30ish to Keighley, so I could collect it any time from that point onwards. And he said to me that he'd prefer, if we could, to pick it up earlier, because he wanted because the guys that he was delivering it to, which was his depot, wanted to get off site quicker today. So I said I'm fine with that. That suited me down to the ground. I said I'll get there as soon as I can, and then if they're not ready, I'll wait till they're ready. So he said he'd call me back, and he did call me back a bit later on with an amended time of 1:30. He said that the guys that I was collecting from would be ready at 1:30. So I carried on, finished off my second envelope at Keighley, and then made my way straight the sort of 10 minutes. It was about 2 or 3 miles across Keighley to the pickup point, and it was a big warehouse. I said to the guys there, I'm a bit early, but I'm ready when you are for this job going to Leeds. And they knew what I was doing, and they weren't quite ready. And they told me just to wait around the other side of the building, which is where the goods out was. So I drove round, and I arrived there at 1:10. And then, probably about 20 minutes later, maybe 20 minutes. So they came out. The doors opened, and they came out. There was 2 guys there, and I just went in to say, "Can you just show me what I'm taking?" Because when I walked in, there was pallets of boxes. The boxes weren't wrapped up; they were just stacked loosely on the pallets. And I said, "Okay, can you just point out what I'm taking?" And they pointed out effectively 5 pallets worth of boxes, and it looks like quite a lot of boxes. And we all looked at, well, they looked at my van, and I looked at their boxes, and we all thought, this is going to be tight. And I was reasonably confident because the boxes were loose. If it had been 5 pallets with wrapped boxes, I couldn't have got them all on. But I said to them, "Do you want me to put them on the pallets or loose, handball them on?" And they said, "We can handball them on." And once I heard that, I thought, yeah, we should be okay, because they were cardboard boxes, different sizes, and I felt that we could probably put some on top of the others and get them loaded in. And we just give it a go anyway. I was happy to give it a go. The only complication at this point was they said to me that all the stuff was China, and suddenly I was thinking, oh god, this is going to be quite scary for me. I'm going to have to try and strap these down, but there's so many boxes, how am I going to strap them down? So I thought I'll put them on. If they're packed in as tight as I think they're going to be, they're not going to move, and we'll just see at the end what I can do with strapping. So we started off with the biggest boxes. A little tip for new drivers, I find it works really well. I asked the guy there's 2 guys, there's one sort of, he was very young, he must have been in his early 20s, he was kind of the lead guy, and another guy who was probably in his early 30s, who was kind of more of an underling guy. And so the underling guy was bringing out on a pump truck the pallets to my van, and then we were handballing them onto my van. And I said to the guy, "Oh, what's your name, by the way?" And he told me, and I said my name, and that just immediately kind of made it a much more friendly interaction. I could have sat there putting the boxes on and not asked him his name, and it would have been fine. It would have been perfectly friendly. But just that, asking his name, I don't think they're used to being asked their name. These sort of warehouse people. I'm imagining their job is pretty boring and pretty mundane, and just having someone take a slight interest in them as people, I found at least it makes a difference. So I asked him his name, and we didn't do any chatting. I mean, I'm not into chatting. You've seen my videos about my autistic traits, you'll know I'm not a sociable person, but I can just do the "Hi, my name is X, what's your name?" and then it's kind of on friendly terms. Yeah, so we started handballing on the biggest boxes, and I was able to get, because I've got quite a high van, if you know what it means, I've got a H3, no, I've got an L3 H2 Ford Transit, so it's not the highest Ford Transit, it's like the medium height, but my height allows me to stand up in it quite easily, and I find that the height makes a big difference with boxes. I get a lot more boxes. I haven't got a 4 metre long van, it's about 3.5 metres. That half a metre difference I can get away with my height. So the biggest boxes I could pile one on top of the other, and what I did was I piled, sort of did 3 boxes on their ends, and then put 4 boxes across the top, slightly like bricks. When you're laying bricks, like one over the other, halfway over. And I did that throughout the van, so there were some lying down, some one way, some the other way. So I ended up having the boxes themselves kind of holding themselves in a structure. If I just put them all the same orientation, they would have not had that strength, as it were, that rigidity in them. And by doing that, I was able to get the boxes packed in really efficiently and in a stable way. And then we had a load of space at the end, and at the end I just had a few little boxes, light boxes at the end. I just strapped the last boxes over the back of my van, and it seemed to me to be pretty secure. The guys were very impressed that I got it all in my van, and I was quite pleased to get it on the van. And I asked if there was any paperwork, and there wasn't, so I created my own pod, got to sign it, took some photos as always, and then I made my way very gingerly towards Leeds. Although it was only 20 miles loaded, it was the best part of an hour in terms of the journey time because of the traffic. And I was really careful about my driving. The roundabouts, I was sort of cutting them, making sure there's no cars behind me, sort of cutting the roundabouts to make them less of a sharp turn, taking bends really slowly, so I've been very careful. And I got to the other end and arrived, and I had to check with it was a warehouse for the company that I was doing the work for, but they share it with another company. I just double checked it was in the right place, and then I opened my van up, and the two guys were there were kind of quite crestfallen, I would say, because they thought, well, they wanted it to be on pallets, but it all handballed all the stuff off. And I was thinking, well, it wasn't that bad. It took me and one other guy putting them on about 10 minutes, 15 at maximum. It really wasn't that hard between the two of us. And there was two of them and me. So I thought, just get some pallets and we'll load them up. So there's a guy on the phone talking to his boss, says they're not palletised. And then 5 minutes later he came back with some pallets. We loaded them on. I got them to the end of my van, they put them on the pallets, and it was done in about 10 minutes. I arrived on site about 25 minutes to 3, and by the time I'd done all my paperwork and got off site, it was 3 o'clock. And they were cellophaning the pallets of boxes. We ended up having 4 pallets at the end of it. We took photos of each of the 4 pallets. So all in all, at this point, quite a good day. It was 3 o'clock, and I'd done 2 jobs, £185 before expenses. And I was in Leeds, which I thought would be a good area. There's plenty of jobs. I put quite a few quotes on, and quite quickly I got another job. Sorry, and it's one that I've been thinking about doing for a while. They come out across the country, and it's alcohol runs, and I've never done one. It's the first time, and I've heard people sort of say they don't like them, and I've kind of avoided them until now. I thought this was a good opportunity for me to put a bid on. It was for a small van job. It was going from Normanton, which was about 25 minutes from where I was, probably about 15 miles, and it was going to York, and there were two drop-offs in York, and the loaded miles was something like 45, I think, if I remember correctly. And I bid, no, it wasn't that, it was something like 25 miles, I think. 35 miles. Yeah, 35 miles loaded. And I bid £60, 60. Again, my minimum job for a long wheelbase van, but this was a short van, a small van job. And they did advertise it being 650 odd kilograms. And I didn't really know what that meant. So, but now I do. Now I've done the job, I know what that means. So, I got the job and made my way across to the pickup point, Normanton. I was hoping, so I got there about 3:30. So I got the job quite quickly from leaving Leeds. I got there about 3:30, and I was hoping that I would be loaded about 15 minutes, and then in York for about 5 o'clock. Offloaded. That proved to be quite optimistic. Just change lanes, there's cars behind me. So, first of all, I had to get in a queue of vans. There were 3 vans ahead of me. I had to wait for them to be loaded. I had to go to the office first of all, It was all very well organised, I must say, very well organised. Paperwork from them. They knew I had to sign a few things. They gave me a couple of pieces of paper for 2 stops to take with me and to give to the forky for the loading up, and then to give to the end point, which was 2 pubs in York. And then I waited for the vans to get loaded up. They reverse into like a caged area, and then the forklift driver loads you, and then off you go. You just do it in turn. You first come, first served. So I had 3 ahead of me, and I was waiting for 35 minutes before I got my go. So roughly, average 10 minutes per van. I got loaded, and I was watching the forklift driver doing his job, and he had this quite specialised forklift, which had like two prongs. I suppose four prongs. So all forklifts have 2. So 2 prongs, very long, and then 2 above, like parallel. So almost like pincers. So like two giant pincers. You imagine 2 enormous metal chopsticks off the front of a forklift, and there's like one above the other. And I thought, and he was whizzing around with this forklift, picking up barrels and putting them in the back of vans. And I was looking at his job. I think he's got a non-stop job here. He's doing this, then the next van comes in, doing the next van. And I thought, oh god, what a thankless job that is. So when I got my turn, I said, "Oh, what's your name?" And I said, "I'm my name." So I'll use the word Justin when I say this, because it's easier to say that. Hi, what's your name? He said, "Phil." Hi, Phil. I'm Justin. In that he seemed really friendly off the back of that. I'm amazed at how just asking someone's name. I keep going on about it, but it's just a little thing that one can do to change how people relate to you. Maybe everyone does it. I don't know, but it's just it's a habit for me now. I just think it's really nice. Slight side note. I've said this a few times in my videos. I do sometimes hear people saying how grumpy people are, and that is true. I have come across grumpy people, but I do think that sometimes one can influence how you experience people by being nice to them first of all. And it's quite hard for someone to be grumpy with you if you're nice to them. So I find that I do have some grumpy people, but mainly they're quite nice to me. I think it's because I just smile and I'm nice to them. It's such an easy thing to do. Just smile, ask them a name, and just be friendly. It's not in everyone's nature, I suppose, but I find it quite easy to do that, and I'd recommend it for new drivers if you want an easier life. Right, anyway, I was back to it. So the forklift driver got me loaded up. The forklift usually was amazing. Like lifted up these kegs like they were nothing and put them in the back of my van. I then picked them up in my van, and they were like really heavy. I had a total of 11 kegs. So if it's 650 kilograms, each keg was about 50 kilograms, and I found them quite hard to move. There was a variety of what I would call larger kegs, which weren't that large, but they were very heavy, and then slightly smaller kegs, which were very heavy still. But I could just about move the smaller ones a bit easier. So I was able to sort of roll on their edges the kegs down my van, and I kind of even them out on both sides of my van and sort of into my van between the wheel arches as much as I could. But yes, so they were heavy things. And then I made my way towards York, and so I'd left that site around about 4:15, and it was about an hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half to York. And it was getting dark now, and the first pub I got to, so it was quite busy with traffic, and it was dark. And the first pub I got to was in a very narrow street. There was a bollard either side of the street, and it wasn't big enough to park and allow cars to go past. So I had to park about a van and a half's length away from the front door. And there's no way I could have got any closer. I couldn't go on the path. It was there wasn't a drop curb. York is a very old town, and it was not designed for large vans or any vans really. So I went into the, what was that? That was a stone. Oh, that scared life out of me. Right, I don't think I can see any broken bits at the moment. So yeah, I went into the pub and sort of got delivery, and I was hoping that the people in the pub would sort of expect to know what to do, but because this is the first time I'd done this, and they didn't really know. The first person I spoke to didn't really know what to do. She sort of said, "Oh, okay," and then went off and asked someone what to do. Came back out. She showed me the cellar doors, and I said, "Well, I'm not putting them in the cellar. I put them on the curbside." The notes on the delivery app were very clear. It says you must not put these in the cellar or inside. You're not insured to do this. So I knew that I had to put them on the curbside. So, but I had to get them out the back of a van and that. And anyway, so I asked if anyone to help, and someone came out. A guy came out to help me, and but he wasn't very keen to help. To be honest, the lady. Got another lady to help, so they opened the cellar doors, which was on the front of the building, by the main road. I was parked about a van and a half's length down. Couldn't get any closer, so I got these barrels off the back of my van, and then I carried the first one, which was a smallish one, probably about 14 kilograms, I'm guessing. And I carried that to the cellar door, which was about 10 meters. Oh, it killed me. I'm not a young man anymore, and it was horrible. So I then asked the guy who was there to help me, and I said, "Well, if you hold one half of the barrel, I'll hold the other half. We can do it together quite easily." And so we did that. It's all a bit tense. I felt, because I think they're expecting me to put the barrels inside the cellar for them, and I just thought, I'll just put them on the curbside, and I just need a bit of help to do this, and then it was all done. So we got it done. I got it signed, and then I thanked them for the help, and then I went off to try and find the next pub. But yeah, it was very tiring, and getting the barrels off my van onto the ground was in itself quite difficult without sort of dropping them. And the next stop was just about 50 metres up the road. So I went up the road, and the road was blocked. And I thought, oh, okay. I looked at the Google Maps, and it gave me another route round. So I followed that round this small street, and ended up behind the high street area in a residential part, and it wasn't the correct place to be at. So I went back to where I was originally, and I noticed there were some people in high vis at the barrier. There's some barriers to this sort of high street area, and there's some high vis people. So I went to ask them where you get down, because the barriers were removable. So they're the automatic ones that kind of rise up and rise down. And they said that the road is being closed for Christmas celebrations and will be open till 7 o'clock. It was now about 5:15, and I thought, well, I can't wait here till 7. I was going to ring the shipper, but I thought, well, maybe I can park where I was and sort of handball it over. Well, I didn't want to do that. But there's no way I was getting through. So I said, "Can I park here?" And they said that's fine. I was parked on the sides to let emergency vehicles through. So I turned around, reversed up, and parked as close as I could to the bollards without blocking the path or the road. And there was enough space. I then asked them where the pub was, because it was only about 75 metres away. So I thought, rather than waiting for 2 hours, let's just get these barrels up the road. So I got my sack barrel out, and took the first barrel up to the pub, but it was was still quite heavy, it's still quite difficult to do. And I got there and then went into the pub, and the barman told the barman I got some delivery for him, and he was saying, "I'll just go around the back." And I was saying, I can't go around the back because I can't get my van up here. I'm at the front here with the first barrel. I have to bring them up manually. So he came at the front for me. He took them around the back, and I went back to my van and got the next one. And I had 6 barrels to do. The manager came out, and at this point he said, "You can roll these barrels." So he did this to his barman, because his barman, to be fair, picked up the first barrel and just walked it in. I was quite impressed with that. He was a very strong guy. He didn't look it. I think it ruined his back, but he did it. I think he did it to impress me, but and it worked. I was impressed. Anyway, so I came up with the second barrel, and then the third barrel, fourth barrel, and on my trip back on the fourth barrel, by this point the manager was helping the guy take him to the back of the pub, and by the fourth trip back I fell over right by my van, and I grazed my knee, and it's the worst thing happened. Lots of people, because it was Christmas marketing, lots of people saw me, came over, and everyone was coming over to sort of say, "Oh, are you okay?" So I was that elderly gentleman that falls down when they're old and people come and help you. I didn't need help to get up. I made sure I got up of my own steam. I sat on the end of my van just to recover. And this lady who's in a high vis sat next to me and asked if I was okay. "Are you sure you're okay?" And I said, "I'm alright, just having a little rest." And then I asked, and there's 2 builder guys who stopped. I said, "It's okay guys, you can go on now, thanks for stopping. Keep going with your day." So I sat there for a bit, just recovered, and then the manager and the other guy were there at my van, and they kind of just rolled the last 2 barrels. Well, one used my set barrel, and one rolled the barrel back to their pub. And I walked over, got my set barrel back, and got it all signed off. So I'd finished. By the time I'd finished and got out of York, it was 6:30. So a good hour and a half after I thought I'd be finished. And I reflected upon that job, and I decided, although that was the first time I did alcohol deliveries, it would probably be my last. It's just not worth it. The handballing element of it, just getting the barrels off my van without dropping them. You definitely need steel-toe cap shoes while doing it. I just think it's not worth the money, not worth the risks on my back. I am 52 and not in the best of health, I suppose. I suppose I have to admit that. So alcohol deliveries is not for me, I'm afraid. And it's probably the first time that I've really cut to a point where my age is kind of stopping me doing the job. It won't be the last. I'm sure there'll be lots more times when this happens. But it's an interesting part of your life when that comes. So that was my day, and I did think I'll try and find a job. But it was 6:30 in York, there was nothing. So I just headed home. It was 2 hours 20 minutes, about 117 miles. It was 6:30. I was going to get home for about 8:30, 8:45. And I was also quite tired by this point. I was quite weary, and I just felt it's time for me to get home. I had, by this point, I had won a job for this morning, which is a good job, which I'll tell you about at the end of today. It's a good paying job, going a long distance, so I was happy that today was going to be a good day. So I thought, let's just get home, get rested. Now I've got 3 things that I'd like to reflect upon from that day. Oh, I said the wrong day, didn't I? Let's start. Yeah. At the start of this video I said 22nd of November, didn't I? Actually it's the 23rd of November yesterday. So this video is for Thursday, 23rd of November. And that's a pretty important date, because on the 23rd of November 2022 that's when I first had a online conversation with my partner, and that's when we first kind of met. We met through online dating app, and I was really fortunate. The first day, or maybe the second day that I joined the app, actually, I can't remember. It was within a few days. I made contact with my current partner. When I say current, I don't mean there's going to be another one. I mean, at the time I had no partner, and now this is the one I've got. Anyway, I'm digging a hole now. I met my partner 1 year ago for this video, and that has changed my life for the better. I'm going to talk more about it on the 29th. Actually, no, I'm not going to work out my... Yeah, the closest video 29th, I'll talk more about it. No, I don't now. Sorry, I don't now. So, my partner is my soulmate. She is amazing. I am so lucky to have met her, and that was a year ago. She is so loving and nurturing. We tell each other we love each other every single day, and that's not hyperbolic. We are still in the honeymoon period of our relationship. Now, we didn't meet physically till the 29th of November, which is kind of our anniversary, but I still remember 23rd of November as being a really key, pivotal day. That's the first time we made contact and started talking online. So, I think I've said all that I'll say about that. Let's move on. I want to share two things that I've learned about this job that I'm kind of it's kind of a bit of the nuances. I am a slow learner, I think. I like learning by doing. I don't like being told. I like to just do it and make my mistakes and then learn from them. And the nuances of this, there's a couple of things that I realise being nuances, but you might think is common sense, obvious. And the first thing, I'm going to summarise it by the phrase, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And what that means to me is, if a job comes up now that's 2 or 3 hours in the future, I'm going to bid on it, and it's a good job, I'm going to bid on it. I'm not going to leave it because it's too late. Now, what I used to do is try and find a job immediately after my job I was on. So if I was working, let's say I was going to tip at 12 o'clock, I'd be looking for a job between 12 and 1 o'clock. And anything that was sort of 2:30, 3 o'clock onwards, let's say it's a 3 o'clock job, I'd be going, oh, I can't wait around for 2 hours doing nothing. I have to find something else. So I wouldn't bid on that 3 hour one unless it was a really amazing job. But over time I've worked out that actually bid on that job that's 2 hour wait, and actually if you get it, that bird in your hand is worth way more than the job you might get sooner. So I've learned that I'll bid on jobs that aren't necessarily perfect for time. If they're going in the right general direction, I get a good price on them. Because actually I've learned that you can go to these jobs early, and often you can get them earlier than you think. Or just having a bit of a break isn't a bad problem. So today, for this video, that job that was 2:30, that was 2 hours after I was going to arrive at Keighley. I wouldn't usually have bid on it, but I bid on it, and in the end, I was loaded in off-site by 1:40. So it was really a perfect job time-wise for me in the end. I was waiting around for about half an hour, 40 minutes at most before that job, which is nothing in the course of a day. So I've kind of changed my tactics when it comes to bidding on jobs that are later on in the day. That's the first thing. And the second thing, and the York job kind of emphasises this. What I've been doing, and I to some extent still do when I'm tramping out or when I'm not tramping out, is I kind of spend the morning just getting any job. Get a job, and as soon as I finish the job, I get another job. And I don't really mind where I go. I just look for the right price. Really, it's the right price I'm looking for is the main thing. And when I had yesterday's job, which was the third job of the day, going from Normanton to York, in my head I thought, I'll get another job after that. If I get it before 5 o'clock, I've got a chance of getting a job maybe. But in reality, that was never going to happen. And so I have to be more mindful of trying to be tactical about where I end up. And not in terms of where, but in terms of in time. I need to get myself ending up between 3 and 4 o'clock to get my last job of the day, I think. Maybe 4:30 at the latest. Unless I'm in an area where I know there's late jobs. The reason why I say that is because most jobs I find sort of die off at 5 o'clock. There are some you get between 5:30, there are some, but the bulk of the jobs will be collected before 5 o'clock. So if I can get to a place and be bidding on jobs from about 4 o'clock for my last job of the day, that makes more sense than trying to get somewhere between about 5 o'clock and bidding on them. So today, let's take it. So I'll take that for today. I've got a job. No, I'll tell you. I've got a job that's going to end up at 2 o'clock in the northeast. And so I looked at that and I thought, well, I need to get a 2-hour job somewhere so that I'm ending up getting my third job of the day about 4 o'clock. So where is 2 hours from the northeast? And that is Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield, if I go south. So I need to look for a job from the northeast going to those areas if I can, as soon as possible. And if I do that, I'll be giving myself a good chance of getting a third job before the end of the day. Now, by having that in my mind, I might be a bit more tactical with the jobs I bid on when I get to the northeast. But usually what I'll do is get to the northeast, just look for whatever job at the right price and just do it. And then wherever I end up, I deal with it wherever I end up. But I think that maybe being a bit more mindful of the time of the day is probably at least worth trying. I mean, I'm going to think about it a bit more and see how that makes a difference. I think like all these things, you have to be flexible though. If I get a job from the northeast to London, I'm taking that. That'll be the last job of the day. I don't need a third job. I'm not going to north because it's Friday, so it's the northeast, and I need to go somewhere southwards, and we'll see what ends up happening. Right, so that's my video for, I'll say it again, Thursday the 23rd of November. Very important day. Right, I hope that you are successful. I hope you drivers out there, and I hope, right, I'm going to say it slightly differently. I hope you drivers out there who are professional, polite and fair are doing well. And I hope you shippers out there who are professional, fair and polite are also doing well. Because it's not about drivers versus shippers, it's about, in my mind, professional, polite, fair people against the rest. Right, hope you're doing well, hope you're successful. Good luck, no, not good luck. Keep working hard, keep persevering, and hope you earn the money you need to. Thanks for listening. I'll see you later on today or tomorrow morning. No,